Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a recent catastrophe related to the oil spill which has been observed around the coastline of a Southeast Asian nation, that is the Philippines. The incident is widely being called as MT Terra Nova incident because that was the name of the container cargo ship which has been involved in the accident leading to the oil spill, and obviously it will contribute significantly to the marine pollution of that area. So, in this context, let us try to understand that what can be the possible outcome and what are the challenges and the solutions for this particular problem. Now, first of all, to give you an idea about the background of this particular news. So, recently a typhoon by the name of Gaimi has struck the havoc around the Taiwan, Philippines and part of Southeast China region. Basically, if you talk about the term typhoon, typhoon is nothing but what we refer by the name of tropical cyclone in India. So, along the coastline of East Asia in the China Sea, it is referred as typhoon, and similarly along the North Atlantic it is referred as hurricane. So, as a result of this typhoon, it has created and left a trail of destruction in its wake, and one of the outcome of this typhoon was heavy rain, and during this stormy condition, heavy rain in the sea, it caused the sinking of an oil tanker by the name of MT Terra Nova. The oil tanker was laden with a huge volume of crude oil, almost about 1.4 million liters of oil, and as a result of the sinking of the ship in the Manila Bay. Manila, as we know, is the capital of Philippines. So, if you look at the map here, this is the national capital region of Philippines, that is Manila, and to the east west of this region we have the Manila Bay, somewhere to the south north of West Philippine Sea, and here you have the Laguna Bay. So, as you can see from here that this was the tanker which has sunk. So, around the Manila Bay region, due to the sinking of the ship, obviously one crew member has died while 16 members have been rescued. Now, the incident has also sparked serious environmental concern because as the ship has sunk, all this oil will be released and will actually enter into the ecosystem of the ocean. So, in this context, if we try to understand about MT Terra Nova incident in more detail. So, MT Terra Nova, which was a oil tanker, it was en route to the city of Iloilo, which is situated in the Philippines. Now, why we call it the Philippines? Because it is a group of large number of islands, of volcanic islands that has formed due to the oceanic convergence. So, when this ship was en route to the city, it capsized due to the severe weather condition. Now, obviously, as the oil has started to spill into the Manila Bay, it could become the largest oil spill which the Philippines have seen in its history, and it can severely affect the marine life as well as coastal ecosystem, including mangrove areas as well. A BBC report on Friday has noted that the spill has spread already across several kilometers with a future possibility of spreading even to a larger area. Now, what is being done to mitigate these challenges? So, first of all, whenever we have the oil spill that happens, generally the Coast Guard and the corresponding agencies of each of the countries, they take immediate action, and this immediate action is largely in two forms. So, similarly, the Philippines Coast Guard also have deployed two things. The first is what is referred as containment booms, and other is what we refer as skimmer. So, let us try to understand what are these two mechanisms. So, when you talk about the containment booms, they are nothing but a kind of barrier, a barrier which is floating, and also it is kind of physical barrier, and as these barriers float around the bay areas, it just basically, it is very what we can understand is made up of simple elements such as materials such as plastic, metals and other materials, and as this containment unit engulfs a large area, it prevents the seepage of oil into the area that is bound by these units. So, it will slow the spread of oil and keep it contained. Other is what we refer as skimmers. Skimmers are nothing but a type of boats which are deployed to remove oil from the water surface, and also it helps or prevents the oil from reaching the ecologically sensitive area. So, the deployment of containment booms and skimmers already have been done, the measures have been taken by the Philippines. Now, as per the US agency by the name of National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, These two are believed to be the most important steps that can be taken when there is a oil spill or wherever there is oil spill. And then the secondary method, such as spreading the oil with certain kind of solvents and chemicals which can absorb the oil, all these things can be done as well. So, if we talk about the oil spill, this is not something that is what we can see is one time phenomena or less frequent phenomena. Rather, we know that the entire ocean is through where more than 99% of the global oil supply is being carried over, and the oil is continuously being transported from the oil rich country to the consumer country or supplier country to the consumer country, including countries such as India and China. So, accidents involving oil tanker, or even many times what do we have? We have the rigs that extract crude oil and natural gas from deep inside the ocean in the offshore regions, or pipelines that is transporting, for example, crude oil from deep sea to the coastal areas. For example, in India also we have Bombay High gas field, from where by the underwater pipeline or undersea pipeline the gas is transported to the state of Gujarat. So, in case of any hazards, any disaster, any accident, the oil tankers, drilling rigs, pipelines, refineries can be triggered by natural disaster, leakage can be triggered by natural disasters, human errors, or even equipment failure. Obviously, in this case it is a result of natural disaster. So, whenever oil spills happens, the spreading of oil happens at a very fast speed, because we know that oil is having a lower density as compared to water. So, it keeps on floating, and especially if the water is in motion, it will take the oil and disperse it to a very large area on the ocean. So, due to the lighter density, it forms a layer that obstructs sunlight. Now, what is the result, main significant outcome of this oil spill? That obviously that oil forms a layer above the water surface, and the light will not be able, the sunlight will not be able to penetrate it. So, if sunlight is not able to go deeper inside the ocean, obviously we have many organisms such as phytoplanktons, zooplanktons that depends on the sunlight. So, phytoplanktons are there, their photosynthesis will be disrupted, or any marine plant, their photosynthesis will be disrupted. And as a large number of marine animals depend on small planktons and small fishes which feed upon these plants, there can be shortage of food in the marine community or in marine food chain. Also, oxygen production will also become difficult because of the increase in what we can call as the this increase in the death of the phytoplanktons due to the lack of sunlight. So, dissolved oxygen content will decrease, which also will cause a problem for the marine biodiversity. The microscopic algae are consumed by fish and other marine animals and form the base of multiple marine food chain. That means it is not only the food chain that is going to be affected, but because its impact on the multiple food chain, the entire marine food web will also face severe consequences as a result of oil spill if containment is not done quickly. So, if you take example of the impacts that we might observe on the marine animals, these are some examples. For example, especially those marine animals which lives near the surface, they may face immediate danger from the toxic exposure, because you know that the crude oil contains lot of toxic elements, lot of toxic chemicals which cannot be ingested or processed by the body of these organisms. With oil coating the feathers of the bird, as we can see from here, because if the sea birds are there, if they are coming in contact with the crude oil, it is a very sticky substance and it's become almost impossible without human intervention for this bird to remove these oils from their body, from their feathers, and that is how they will lose their insulation abilities, leading to hypothermia as well as ultimate drowning. So, here two examples of such oil that is sticking to the feather of this bird as well as sticking to the sea otters also we can see. So, fish and invertebrates may also endure challenges with reproduction and growth. Obviously, because as we have discussed that fish also survives by eating such kind of planktons which require light or sunlight to grow, and in the absence of sunlight, obviously they will also face consequences. Now, longer term impact is also what we can discuss. So, first of all, if oil spill has happened, the long term impact of oil spill are extensive, affecting marine ecosystem habitats as well as local economies. If we talk about the toxicity buildup, if it happens throughout the entire marine food chain or food wave, it can wipe out the entire animal population. Not only the animal population, but as many people across the world are dependent on the marine marine areas, for the food resources, especially people who are consuming fishes. So, they also may suffer as a result of bioaccumulation. Bioaccumulation generally refers to the increase in the concentration of the toxic substances as you go higher up in the food chain. For example, if a small amount of plankton that is coated with toxic oil is ingested by the fish, what will happen? This small amount of all this toxicity will keep on building in the fishes. This small fishes will be fed upon by the larger fishes, which will feed hundreds of the small fishes. So, all these hundreds of small fishes having a small amount of oil will then become part of the large fish, and then gradually as this feed is finally being consumed by the human consumer, obviously we can see the impact of bioaccumulation on the long term health problems of the humans as well. Then we talk about the coastal ecosystem, especially the mangrove area, the tidal ecosystem. The oil can suffocate these habitats and kill vital plants and animals, especially as during the tidal phenomena, the oil spill and the oil containing water will enter into the coastal territories. So, recovery can take decades, with some species facing the threat of even extinction. And economic fallout obviously will be observed, because the communities which are dependent on fishing and tourism obviously will be the worst affected, as tourism will decline to the coastal areas having oil spill problems, and obviously the fishing problem we have talked about. So, the challenges in cleaning also comes because it is not so easier to remove such a huge amount of oil from the oceanic areas, because first of all the water in the ocean is continuously moving, it is not a stagnant like lake, and second also because of the change in the weather patterns we also face problems. So, despite technological advancement, cleaning up oil spill is a challenging task. The oil spreads quickly, and rough seas and strong currents complicate the cleanup efforts. So, oils vary in properties, with some sinking or emulsifying with water and making separation tough. That means it is not that only one kind of treatment you can use universally for every kind of oil spill. What kind of oil has spilled, what is the concentration, what is the properties, that also play a huge role in the determination of the kind of effort that is required or kind of technology that is required. So, chemical dispersant are the ones that we can use, but the problem is that chemical disbursement that can be used to extract the oil from the surface can also harm the marine life. Second is manual cleanup can be done, but the problem is that it is very labor intensive process, labor intensive activities, and often is ineffective in remote areas where you have low population density. So, these are the challenges that generally is faced by the people or by the government who are trying to clean the oil spill. Now, let us try to have a look at a case study of the major oil spills that we have seen at the global level in the past. So, the major oil spills from the past point to the complex challenges of recovery that we have experienced already, and here the first we can talk about is Exxon Valdez spill that we witnessed in year 1989. During this oil spill, about 11 million gallons of crude oil spilled and leaked into the Prince William Sound of the Gulf of Alaska, that is around the northern Pacific Ocean along the coastline of United States. So, due to this humongous leakage, it is estimated by the environmentalists that almost 250,000 seabirds were killed, about 2,800 sea otters were killed, about 300 harbor seals died, 250 bald eagles died, and as many as 22 killer whales which are belonging to one of the largest mammal species on the earth also were killed, and obviously billions of salmons and herring eggs were destroyed. So, direct impact on the marine biodiversity, we can see that was the actual outcome, actual effect of this oil spill. Second, persistent contamination in the sediments were observed, because as we know that sediments along the coastal areas, along the beach areas are also being continuously refreshed, continuously are being moved away and are deposited due to the action of the coastal waves. Ongoing decline in certain fish population obviously, and continuous challenges in restoring kelp forest and other essential habitats were observed. This is something that has been reported by the United States EPA, that is Environment Protection Agency. The cleanup effort, as you can see from this picture here, that is the actual photograph taken during the cleanup effort after the Exxon Valdez spill. As you can see, a large number of people are involved here to clean the oil spill. Still after that, despite after that, we can see it has such a tremendous impact on the this marine biodiversity. Second example we can take of a recent one, that is in year 2010, when deep water horizon incident happened. Due to the explosion that were triggered in the rig, almost 210 million gallons of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico over a period of 87 days. Deepwater Horizon is also considered as one of the most deadliest incident that has happened in the oil and gas industry across the world. Now, it also has a lasting impact on the Gulf of Mexico's marine life, which is teeming with marine life, because in Gulf of Mexico basically you have a warm Gulf Stream that is moving, and that provides adequate warmth and support to a humongous variety of the marine life, including reductions in animal populations and severe damage to deep sea coral ecosystem. Coral reef, as we know across the world, are already facing severe challenges in form of coral bleaching due to the rising temperature as an outcome of the global warming, and this oil spill can trigger another bout or another this we can say phase of coral bleaching across the world. So, these are what we can understand as the long term effect, and this is something which has been noted by United States Geological Survey. So, whatever data we are not having data from some organization which we cannot trust, but rather all of these are government organizations, data are trustworthy, and that is why what we can see as say that the impact of oil spill on the marine ecosystem can be really a devastating one. So, that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood overall about the recent incident about this oil spill, the challenges as well as the solutions that we have. Plus, we also discussed the case studies where we have seen the impact of oil spill on the marine biodiversity. That is all for this particular video. Thank you very much.